Thank you. So thank you so much, Dr. Otti, for joining us today. We're here with you at Columbia University's Africa Economic Forum. Diamond Bank is one of our biggest sponsors, actually the diamond sponsor. So thank you so much for sponsoring the Economic Forum. We hope that this won't be the last of it. I know it's sort of this first time that we're working together, but hopefully, this won't be the last time that we'll be sitting here together today. So. You delivered a very, very inspiring keynote a few minutes ago, and I'd like to connect with you about the evolution of your career. You have built a career managing fast-growing businesses at various banks, right? And you have been really good, or rather more so successful, at moving those businesses up the corporate value chain. There are a lot of, people here today that are looking to you and want to be like you, right? What advice do you have for people who want to get into the banking industry, who want to be, but particularly those ones who want to be inspired, who want to sort of engineer changes on the continent?
All right, thank you very much for the very kind words, and I think you were quite generous.
You think so?
Yes. Yes, I've been in banking all my life. I graduated from school, having read economics, and joined banking. The first bank I worked it was in a U.S. bank called Citibank.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I just immediately after my graduation, I did the 1-year compulsory youth service.
Yes.
Yes, with Citibank, and I was retained, and I continued banking. So that's how I made my foray into banking, and the rest is now history. And this was 1989, and I've gone through a few other banks up to the first bank where I was until 2011. I spent 10 years in First Bank, by the way. I joined 2001, and I moved up the ladder through becoming the assistant general manager to deputy general manager, then the executive director, and I used to oversee the oil and gas business at some point.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because you seem to have created a niche for yourself within banking, focus on energy.
Yes, and so today I look after Diamond Bank, of course, with a lot of my people.
I like it, so you look after.
Because a lot of people are involved. We have some 10,000 odd people in the bank. And it's been an interesting journey. Now, straight to your question about the advice I'll give people who want to be like me. It requires, at the risk of sounding immodest, it requires a lot of hard work. And hard work needs to be focused, because you can also work hard, and if it's not focused, it yields you nothing. So it has to be focused hard work. It requires reinventing yourself time and time again. It requires a lot of reading, because you need to be at home with what you are discussing. And then it requires ensuring that you have integrity, because a lot of people have fallen by the wayside because they let very little things distract them.
Yes.
And you'll find out when it has happened. That is a very little thing. So you must be straightforward. You must ensure that you are doing the right thing most of the time. Of course, you could make mistakes, but once you make mistakes, recognize that they are mistakes and quickly retrace your steps. There's someone that said that our joy is not in our inability to fall, but in our ability to rise anytime we fall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it's so important. And then, of course, educating yourself. Education is not necessarily when you come to a place like this, but of course, coming to a place like this is important. And I happen to have been lucky to have come to this place, and then I've been to Stanford.
Yes.
I've been to University of Pennsylvania, and then I did an alumnus of the Harvard Business School.
World-class education.
Yeah. So, but these are things that happened over a long period of time.
Okay.
And I think it's important you keep educating yourself.
Yeah.
And I believe that once you have a couple of all these things, and most importantly, you also need to pray. Because yes, because you may do everything right and still hit what they call bad luck.
Exactly. Exactly.
Some people are in the wrong places at the wrong time, and something happens and they are off.
Yes.
I can think of a couple of our colleagues who were in the banks that were taken over by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Of course, I was in one of them at some point in my career.
Yeah.
And so just imagine that I was there at the time it happened.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
you probably stumble, you know, and then come right up again, depending on how you've organized your life.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've touched upon a lot of you've given different nuggets of wisdom, some of which we've heard, some we haven't. Some of the ones that we haven't heard is about faith, right? It's about spirituality. Many people believe that, God shouldn't exist in your businesses, or at least you shouldn't. They're sort of two separate things. I hear it a lot. Your business is your business. Then there's no need to sort of bring spirituality into it. So it's really good that you touch upon sort of spirituality and praying, right? Because ultimately, it sounds like that's what set you apart from your counterparts who, lost focus at some point in time. What advice would you give to people who perhaps who are not spiritual, right? But at the same time are looking to sort of become change agents for the, and especially within your sector. Would your advice really be more so find something that centers you so that you don't lose focus? I mean, the one thing I know that centers me, and it sounds like for you anyway, spirituality. So what advice would you give to those people? Yeah.
Well, you see, it's a very tricky one because it's, anyhow you look at it, it's a personal issue. And so if you decide that you are not going to be spiritual or that God has no place in your life, that's your decision. But I can tell you about myself, and I believe that there is nothing I do that is not ordered by God. And that's my belief, and nothing can change that. And I have seen practical demonstration that God exists and God orders our steps. And one thing that I would also not do is to force people to share the belief that I have. But then I can tell you that there are a lot of things that had happened in the past where I would have gotten into trouble. But then even just sitting down a little bit and offering a little prayer, I see them turning around. And that's for me. For somebody who does not believe, he will need to ask himself how he got where he got. And then sometimes you shortchange yourself by believing that you are a superhuman being and you can do everything. But then by my upbringing, I know that I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me, and that's what the Holy Book says. So, so that's how I live it.
Okay, we've got one more question. It's 10 years since Columbia University has been, sort of orchestrating this economic forum, and this one isn't even done yet. We're already sort of talking about 11th year. What advice do you have for the university as we enter in sort of into a whole new decade, right, of the economic forum?
Well, thank you. I am coming in contact with the Economic Forum for the first time this year. And I think it's a very interesting one. I think it is life-changing, particularly for people who don't have opportunities of visiting Africa. So it's like bringing Africa to Colombia.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very good. And there can't be a better time than now when Africa is in focus.
Exactly.
We were talking about growth, GDP growth, and I was saying that Africa, some parts of Africa are witnessing 7% GDP growth, irrespective of what it means. Anyway, but the point is that there are opportunities in Africa, and the focus of the world today is in Africa, and a few people, the Chinese, understand it very well, and they have taken advantage of that. They still take advantage of that. So I think it's an important program. My advice would be that you need to publicize this a little bit more, and you need to get more African countries interested and involved in it. I see that there's a preponderance of Nigeria in this, which is not bad, because anyhow you look at it, Nigeria still commands a lot of respect as the in terms of population. I'm not too sure there's any other black nation that has 170 million people. So it is a veritable market to look at.